Hello, TV fans. Hello, Russell. Hope you're good. Glad you're enjoying season 1 of The White Lotus. Okay, there's the intro. Hey guys again. Hey Jason, or Russell, sorry. I'm probably thinking of Jason Isaacs. But it's cool that you're watching season 1, Russell. Yeah, season 1's very good. And so this is going to be tonight me talking about the latest episode of season 3. So season 3, episode 3. And it is called The Meaning of Dreams. So tonight I'm going to do a run through of the plots. I'm going to talk about the main talking points and give my overall summary of the episode and also bring up some questions maybe for future episodes. So yeah, be interesting once you get to the same point. And of course, Sydney Sweeney is in season 1. I keep forgetting that's one of her early appearances. Everybody's been in the White Lotus at this point. But here's a little bit of a preview of episode 3.
I'm in the entertainment business.
Oh.
Here, working on a project, actually. You used to be an actress.
So sexy.
The FBI's obtained a warrant, and they're at your office.
Take one of these.
Not my thing.
They're not addictive.
Thanks.
I love you.
You are an attractive woman. Make a move.
I made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of bad things. And I can't get my life back.
Are we ever gonna have fun again?
Hi. Do I know you?
Okay, more of that to come. Yes, this one is all about the various characters getting high and some of their dreams. So, Stifler's mum, who is Parker Posey, did she play Stifler's mum? Is that what you mean? Oh, yeah, Walter Goggins. Yeah, he's always fantastic. He's a big part of this season so far. Very, very good actor, very interesting character. So I'm going to talk about episode 3, Meaning of Dreams. I was a bit more mixed on this one. I wasn't as keen as I was last week's. I thought last week's episode was very good and set up some good things. This one is definitely a bit of a slow burn. I got more into the episode as it went on. I think the back half of the episode was more exciting. And I was just missing some of the cringe from last week. There was some really good cringe last week. There was some moments like that this week. But yeah, I think a couple of the subplots, like there were a couple of, once again, the Rutliff family, their plot was strong this week. You've obviously got Parker Posey, Jason Isaacs as the parents, so they're really bringing it. And once again, the Rick and Chelsea plot was really strong, but and some of the plots starting to bleed over, but there's definitely some. There were a couple which I'll get to, which maybe they could have done more with this week. So little bit more of a mixed bag this week. Maybe it felt a bit like a filler episode, but there was still some strong stuff in there. Okay, I see. Yeah, I need to rewatch season 1 at some point. It's been a while. Probably will do a watch through of the seasons later on. So I think what I'll do tonight is there will be some images from the episodes, but I think because the Ratliff family plot and the Rick plot are definitely the strongest two this week, I'll sort of bookend the review with them, and hopefully my voice will hold up, because my voice has been I've just got a bit of a cold before coming on air, seems. So I'll bookend the episode with those two plots, and then the other stuff will go in the middle. Because I think that's maybe the best way to do it sometimes, is to like split it up into the characters. And there's some crossovers. So, okay, so let's start with the Ratliff family. Okay, so we open the episode up. Victoria has a strange dream. Victoria, played by Parker Posey. She has a strange dream of walking into the sea with a strong wind starting up. We get a voiceover that whispers, "This is what it's like before a tsunami," chilling stuff. So Victoria is still very much high on her drugs. Let's point that out. The next morning at breakfast, she tells her family about the dream or nightmare. Piper suggests dreams can have meaning. The daughter says this one could be a warning of something to come. So you can see the metaphor with the storm starting to brew in the actual dream. Now there's more heat between Saxton and Piper as he mocks her about her feeling that dreams have meaning behind them. I did enjoy his line about what if it was a dream with fire and ice in. That was pretty funny. I also enjoyed Lachlan's comment about no more watching Sue Army videos before bed. That was great stuff as well. That's the cringe coming back. That's the really okay. Yeah, squirming sort of line. He later shows a video of a storm which happened one beach over from when they're staying. So this is a little bit of a strange metaphor for them to be using, but I guess at the end of the day, with the series being set in Thailand this season, then I guess they felt they had to bring up the whole Sioux Army and the history. And it definitely works for the metaphor for what they're going for with this family. So later on, Timothy doesn't want to answer his phone at breakfast in front of the family. Under pressure from his family, he finally leaves the table to answer it. his lawyer tells Timothy that he is going to meet with the FBI and that Timothy shouldn't talk to anyone until he hears from him first. And I tell you what, this was another really good scene, and the way it was directed and acted, because that sort of low rumble that we all know that comes from mobile phones, especially when they're flat on the table, the scene actually made that quite eerie and tense. And with everybody's eyes on Timothy like a spotlight, it just made it tense. It made something so simple really tense. Again, Jason Isaacs does a great work in the episode with his reactions. You get some tense close-ups of him. He's very sort of sweaty at times. He does a lot without seemingly doing that much with the facial expressions and body language. So that's a sign of a good actor. And this is the first episode where I actually did start to feel sorry for him. And maybe I was worrying a bit about what could happen to this family in the fallout of all this. But yeah, that's something then they actually made me feel a bit of sympathy for Timothy in this episode. So we then get to one of the best scenes of the episode, which is the scene where Timothy decides that, what the hell, maybe they should go without phones for the rest of the week. There's more to life than phones, he says. He says it very glibly. He suggests that they give over the phones to Pam. And this was set up in the first episode where they were told you couldn't have phones on like the resort itself, or you couldn't, like, if you went down to like the pool area, you can have your phones there. You could have them in your rooms, that kind of thing, but not out on the actual resort. And we saw Saxton's reactions to some of that. So Saxton is expecting a business call and can't switch it off. So when he's like, give your phone to Pam, Saxton's like, Pam my ass. Saxton then goes on a rant about how they've already sacrificed flying 30 miles for Piper, because of course they're all here because of Piper. It's not as if they're not getting a nice holiday out of it. His reaction when Timothy suggests he hands over the laptop is also priceless. It better be locked, he rants. Piper mocks him about having porn on there, which of course he does. He sort of sheepishly admits that he's got porn on there. So a couple of notes on this scene that I think are interesting. So in reality, neither Timothy or Saxton can live without their phones. The irony is that Timothy's "there's more to life than phones" attitude is because he wants to shut himself off from the scandal in the States and hide it from his family. So he's putting up a pretense that he's taken a new leaf, that, hey, let's just enjoy the week without phones. But there's really a motive behind it. Whereas Saxton, I think, who is a lot like his dad when it comes to saying he needs his phone for business reasons, but he is also very entitled. That goes to his character, and he has been bitching about this stuff from the moment they arrived. So, question for a future episode, maybe next week, will the lack of phones for the family come into play later? Will it be a plot point? And I'll return. You'll find out more why that could be a thing a bit later on. Okay, so there we have Saxton and Leclerc, the two brothers. So Saxton, who pretty much sucks when it comes to talking to ladies, tells Lachlan he will get him laid by the end of the week, like a big dog. Bath. Is Saxton doing this because in his own way he cares for his brother, or is it just pure macho selfish reasons? Lachlan is also signed up for posture therapy, which is very embarrassing, and he's told he has a female posture. His awkward reaction to Saxton's proposal, and this may be hinting at hidden sexuality. First of all, he's got a female posture, according to the therapist, and then how awkward he seems to be about the prospect of Saxton setting him up. I think he's a lot more confident than Saxton, and well, Saxton's more comfortable, but you know, I think Saxton really sucks at these things. Meanwhile, Piper visits the temple, hoping to set up a year-long program when she finishes college. So again, Piper seems to be looking to distance herself from her family. That could be very wise for obvious reasons. And she, seems to be really embracing the culture and spirituality of Thailand. So that could become a thing where she tries to set that up. She's told to come back another day and make an appointment because the right person isn't there that day. So that's something they're going to come back to. Again, just a small little thing, not too much with Piper in this episode. Victoria gives Timothy a couple of Lanzarapam. He sleeps for the rest of the day. So they knock him completely out, and there's a gag later where the family are at dinner and they're like, "Where's Dad?" And he's there sleeping. So that's funny stuff. At bedtime, she asks Victoria, that is, if something is going on. And Timothy's silence is chilling. Close up on Jason Isaacs and his angst-ridden face. So that is really powerful stuff once again. And I can't really leave this family without giving another gem of a line from Victoria, because she always has great lines in this show. So line of the week from Victoria is, just because you're rich doesn't mean you can't be trashy. And I will have more on the Ratliff's family later on, because they do cross over with another plot, Saxton in particular. But since he's Arnie's son, I'll just tell you that
I'll be back.
yes, he'll be back later. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to... to probably the least interesting plot this week, the Jocelyn, Kate, and Laurie plot. And this does feel, because I did get more into these characters last week, and this does feel like one of the weaker parts of the episode. So Laurie is again encouraged to take a spa day with unconventional Russian Valentino. And this time it doesn't go well. She hit it off with him last week. He gave her a nice compliment and she was feeling better. But this week, the session doesn't go too well. Later at dinner, in a sign that this was written during the election season, Jocelyn and Laurie press Kate on her politics. Kate is Texas-based, so not necessarily originally from Texas, but she's based in Texas. Jocelyn and Laurie are from New York and California, so more traditionally Democrat states. We get gags at the expense of Bible-thumping right-wing Christians. Kate says they're nice people, we just don't discuss politics. Kate's husband is a Trump voter. When pressed on her stance, Kate claims to be an independent, and that should be a lesson to you all. If you don't want to be pressed on which side you're on, just say you're an independent. This shows again how these friends have drifted apart over the years in different places. So I think that's probably the best thing to come out of the thing. I guess it was written during election season, so I suppose they had to bring that stuff up and the reference. It's an awkward scene. It's a little bit on the nose. It doesn't really add too much, to be honest. And later on, Kate hears the girls gossiping about her political decisions or her politics. And that's about it. So it does feel a bit of a repetitive rinse and repeat this week with these characters, unfortunately. Hopefully, they'll give them something a bit more interesting to do next week, and maybe they'll start to intersect a bit more with the other plots. But that's where I leave them for this week. So next, I'll jump over to the Getagog Morg plot. Sorry about the pronunciations. So it's actually surprising. So I'll just recap roughly what happened last week, because the security guy, Getagog, something like that. He has taken an interest in Morg, and last week you had the whole robbery incident, and it seems like he was hurt in the process trying to stop the thieves who tricked him. But then he'd been pressing Morg for a date earlier in the episode, and when she was concerned later in the episode, it did seem from his smile that maybe he had set the whole thing up to maybe try and get a date from her. But there's no follow-up from that in this episode, so I'm not sure if that's still a thing, if I'm right to think that, or if that's just the way things played out. Because there's only one scene with Morg in the episode. She comes up to him a bit later, and we can see that they're quite friendly and they seem to be getting on. I'm not quite sure if they're dating or starting to date at this point, but there's just one scene. But Getagog does feature more out of the two. As I said, Morg's in one brief scene. So Getagog endears himself to the owner, Sharita, the co-owner of the spa, saying if she needs anything when she's in Bangkok, just call him. So he's almost looking to get on like a security team out there. Later, Sarita's security detail warn Getog that he is useless, and that Fabian, who's the resort manager, wants him fired, but his job is protected by Sharita. So, bit of competition there from the security teams. These bodyguards do come off quite shady, so could this potentially end deadly for Getog? Like, could they become a threat to him in the future? Another thought I had is that maybe Morg is going to get caught in the crosshairs. Like, maybe if she continues to get close to him. Because I think in the one small scene with her, I think he was talking about, why don't you come with me if I get the call? So there could be something there where she gets put in harm's way, maybe, which would be a shame. So just a small little bit there. So I move over to the other big plot for the week, and that is, of course, the Rick, Chelsea, Chloe, Gary, etc. plot. So some good stuff. Again, this went in a bit of a different direction than I was expecting this week, because I did think that Rick was actually going to go to Bangkok to like try and follow up on the whole thing with the resort owner and try and get in close with her and her husband. But he didn't go off to Bangkok in the end in this episode. But some good stuff anyway with him. And let's take a look at Walter Goggins' scary shirt for the week, because he's always got a trippy, colourful Hawaiian shirt. And look at that ugly thing on him. Wow. I guess he makes it cool in his own sort of renegade type way, but it's definitely a rough shirt. You can tell he's an outcast. He's not one of the cool kids. So Rick approaches Sharitala, pretending to be a big shot film producer. He gets her number in Bangkok. So when he comes back to the breakfast table with Chelsea there, she says, "You're such an Aries," as in the star sign. Rick tells her he must leave her for a day tomorrow to visit Bangkok, which he keeps banging on about. When asked what she will do, Rick coldly replies, "Maybe you'll meet another guy." He asks, "How can we be soulmates? Our stars ain't even aligned." And that was brilliant. That was a great razor sharp response from Rick. That was okay. They set that up because she mentioned the star sign. And then he used that against her. Our star signs aren't even the same. How can we be soulmates? Yeah. Okay, that's who you meant. Oh, Jennifer Coolidge won an Emmy for White Lotus as well. She's very good in it. But I'm going to bring her character up later, actually, because she does get a mention in this episode. So slight spoilers, Russell. I'll just warn you. Okay, so the next bit is that Chelsea once again signs Rick up for more counselling. Of course, he opened up to the counsellor last week with a very dark story about his childhood. He hasn't opened up any of this stuff to Chelsea. And this is why I'm really into their relationship, their sort of odd couple relationship, because despite telling Chelsea almost nothing about his life, she sort of blindly loves him anyway. Like, she's got that devotion to him, which is pretty amazing. And I think in his own way, he does sort of care for her. So Rick goes to the counseling session again. And he says he never got to know his father because of his untimely death when he was younger. He says he can never get his life back, but can still get some satisfaction. So I think this goes to Rick trying to become more important by making a connection, pretending to be a big shot film producer and trying to impress the resort owner, fantasizing about being a film producer. And this also leads to his actions later on in the episode. This is pretty great stuff coming up. Chloe tells Chelsea that Gary told us about his ex-wife who killed herself. So just a note here. Is this a reference to Tonna from season 2, or is it just a story Gary has made up? Gary is a man of mystery. A bit like Rick, he has his own mystery past. Rick wants to go to town to get some weed. Chelsea decides to tag along. Saxton comes over, so Saxton's back, and there's some casual flirting between him and Chloe. Playing it cool, she says, "You know you're a douche, right?" But there's a smile on her face. She is receptive to it. So then we go to Rick and Chelsea in the town, and Rick gets some weed. So this is him being a bit more carefree, trying a bit too hard maybe, but he gets high on weed, and he takes Chelsea to a snake show of all things. Welcome to the snake farm. If you're ever in Thailand, Russell, that's where you should go. Oh, he's fantastic. So then Rick says he starts feeling sorry for snakes. He believes they shouldn't be trapped like that. They should roam free just like humans. And I quite enjoy the Chelsea line livery back where she says, well, where should they be, Rick? Out in a field? So later at the show, Rick seems at one with the snakes. He's in like a trance, basically, and observes some other punters eating popcorn as they watch the show. So it's like it's a circus or something. Snakes are big in Thailand. And then, here we go, Rick drifts into the store area and opens up the glass containers, telling the snakes to go free. Go on, go free, snakes. Roam free. So getting worried, Chelsea comes out and finds Rick with a snake in his hands. And in a cruel twist, it's Chelsea who gets bitten and taken to hospital. Poor old Chelsea. She does survive. We see her again. She survives the snake bite. They were obviously very quick and effective in getting her treatment. But just a note here, Rick feels like snakes are trapped like he is. This is the second episode in a row that Rick takes Chelsea for granted and something bad happens to her, after which he shows concern. Will the next time be the last straw? Could it lead to something that will finally take Chelsea's life, or something serious happens to her in any case? Look at him, Jake the Snake Roberts there. Give him his own show. Okay, so Chelsea survives, as I said. Over dinner, Rick finds out that the girls have set up a tour of the islands tomorrow on Gary's boat. You've got a boat, Gary? Is pretty much Rick's reaction. So let's ask this. Is this a similar boat to the one that Tonya met her death on in season 2? Will this trip seal Chelsea's fate? You've got to think they're setting up something big coming up on this boat, which I'm guessing will be next week. Okay. Just a minute. I have one more slide to upload. And this is why it will be an edited version later. So we go back to Belinda, who you've been watching in season 1 as well. That's when she first appeared, Russell, because it's mostly an anthology, but they have started to have more crossovers, more links between the season this season. So Belinda has once again been enjoying the company of Pornchol. Over dinner, she recaps her experiences the past 2 years and references events from previous seasons, including the death of Tonya, who had promised to help her set up a spa business. Yeah, she's cool, isn't she? She recalls yesterday seeing a familiar face. This time, Belinda approaches Gary, asking if they know each other. She asks if his name is Greg. He replies, "It's Gary." Belinda presses him, asking, "Did you date Tonya?" There's an image of Tonya. He denies knowing anyone of that name. And Greg's sheepish look is fantastic. He was in season 1, and he's also in, spoiler Russell, he's also in season 2. So there's something going on with this guy. But the actor John Grimes does a fantastic job again in this episode. As I said, his reaction shot was very good when she walks away and he's clearly hiding something. So well played there. So when Belinda walks away from the table, Chloe has a great line, which I guess all white bald guys look alike. And another thing we find out is that Saxton has also been invited to the boat trip tomorrow, which will be next week's episode, I'm guessing. He and Chloe share some flirting smiles from across the courtyard or whatever it is from different tables, but they share smiles. And yeah, so that's a little bit of a thing. But yeah, it is a similar boat maybe to the one. I'm not going to spoil anything, Russell, because you haven't seen season 2, but there's a big incident on a boat in season 2 at the end. So this is giving me vibes of that. So that's the episode. I'll round it off with some questions. Is this Chloe getting bored of Gary and looking for some fun with someone else? Is Saxton looking to line Chloe up for his brother? Or is he just going to try and hit on her himself? Will this flirtation end badly for either one? And finally, is something big going to happen on this boat trip? I've already teased that one. There's actually one other priceless line about the snake thing later on from Chelsea. So they're back in the hotel room. She's asking, what possessed you to do that today? And when pressing Rick on the incident, Chelsea says, snakes are evil. Just read the Bible. Their relationship survives another day. I still ship Rick and Chelsea. And that's the episode. We cut around the characters a little bit, and that's pretty much it for the week. So that's episode 3 of White Lotus. As I said, not as good as last week. Still some good things, but not as good as episode 3. But there's definitely still enjoying it. Still some promising things. Still intriguing. Lots of questions up in the air. We've obviously got a fine cast and a nice setting. So let's see what happens in episode 4. And I will definitely do another episode this season on stream, another live stream. But speaking of pretty edge of your seat, big talking point TV, I will be doing a review of Yellow Jackets on stream at the weekend. So that will be my next one of these. And I'm also thinking maybe in the future, not long after seeing a film, I might do a film, talk about a film on stream possibly. So look out for that stuff as well. Oh, he was? Yeah, in season 1. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out, Russell. There will be an edited version of this review coming up. And as I said, later in the season, I'll definitely do more. Yeah, the Jackets is going quite well, especially in the wilderness. So I'll be doing a review on stream of the next episode of that. Potentially a big episode. But I'll leave you with a preview for the next episode of White Lotus. And thank you, everyone. Like and subscribe. I'll see you again soon.
I saw dinner last night. I know him.
Holy shit. Your job is to protect the hotel.
We're not dead yet. We can still be young and hot and fun.
Ladies, these are my friends.
We know how to make fun.
Cheers!
These girls are thirsty.
They all have husbands.
Be lucky to have a father who's an actual Boy Scout.
I'm going to Bangkok. I'll be back in a couple of days.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna do something stupid.
Anyone who moves to Thailand is either looking for something or hiding something.
So what about you?
Okay, looks like episode 4 could be a good one. Thanks, everyone. Take care. And I'll see you again soon. Good night.